should be alright for the time being. Meanwhile, up here we do have some Stalker harassment on the mineral line. Not going to be permanent, though. You see, wow, all those auto turrets going down right here, folks. That is one hell of a way to defend your mineral line. Had to see a lot of times you'll see the siege tanks placed up here with some point defense drones, but nope, auto turrets are QXC's preferred method of securing his expansion, as we see a little bit of blue heading up towards that expansion over here. Meanwhile, Planetary Fortress is complete, so WhiteRa not going to be able to do a whole lot, and here comes the Terran player, but the Zealots are in formation to defend their base. A couple of High Templar up here as well, so Psystorm action could be had, but you know what? Terran is realizing this attack is not going to work at all. The Zealots themselves would not be that huge of an issue, stim and kite, but when you're stimming around and you've got Psystorms landing all over the place, it's just not going to be a good thing. You're not going to have a good time. QXC looking to get a little bit more gas coming in here, as he is currently running off of 4. We look at the income tab, see 72 to 61 in favor of WhiteRa. Also helps that he is running off of these both geysers for a total of 6. Look at those SCVs, man. They're just begging for a storm. Siege Tank is in position to actually hit these first frontline units right here, as we do have another engagement coming in here. Oh man, Psystorm time! Are we going to see it? Yeah, looks like it's going to Psystorm the Zealots there instead. Good sacrifice there. Oh, another one landing right there on top of the Marines and Marauders. Little gap. Oh, perfect one! Gotta watch out though, Protoss getting baited into the Siege Tank line of fire. This Archon is going to die very quickly. I do like the timing of that attack, though. He came up here and forced the Terran to engage with the majority of his forces. Meanwhile, he did have his Stalkers down here, keeping the Terran from actually doing a full amount of mining on this expansion. Delay tactics are good when you're trying to get your own economy going a little bit farther than your opponent, which is exactly what WhiteRa is trying to do right now. He's dropping down a couple photon cannons here and looking to secure that additional income without actually capping his own high yield, which he knows will be a little bit more difficult to defend because of the siege tanks and everything else that QXC has right now. Very anti-gateway force. Also a couple ghosts here are going to be able to negate the High Templar if he's able to land those EMPs effectively. So QXC reestablishing his back line here with the barracks, going to try to wall that off. Couple siege tanks holding the line here, but notice these rocks are still here. So if QXC decides to take this expansion, he's probably going to want to take this out because he has some defenses here already. So he's not going to have to worry about a rear attack coming into this ramp. What is exposed and dangerously close to WhiteRa's forces, however, is this ramp. Look at this expansion right here. We have a pylon. This is the nice proxy warp in position, giving him almost immediate access to this base. So that's going to have to be something in the back of QXC's mind as we do move closer towards the 25-minute mark here. So WhiteRa continuing to build up his forces right now. We can see he is actually throwing down an Immortal or two. Very good against the Marauders and Siege Tanks if they're not focused down. That's something you have to watch out for. Also, the Immortal is very susceptible to EMP that negates their primary form of defense, which is that hardened shield. So you see Terran is actually looking to move up towards the Protoss base, who is moving his forces into position while sending his own Stalkers down here, engaging a very light amount of resistance. He's going to be able to take out that SCV above the command center going right away. Psystorm's landing all over the place here. Actually, the reason that I like this... Oh! Gross and sexy at the very same time. Feedback on the Ghost, knocking those out right away. Now, what WhiteRa did up here was all those storms being front-loaded onto the infantry. He knew that there were ghosts in there, so he wanted to get as many storms out as possible and have that energy being spent in his favor rather than losing it all right off the bat. He still had enough for a couple feedbacks, took out those ghosts very quickly, which did limit the ghost's ability even further. Of course, you can't use them when you're dead, and Protoss time here in the natural expansion, but notice the expansion has gone down. Do have a lot of probes over here. Going to have to build up some more in order to replace what is being mined up here. Meanwhile, siege tanks are in position, taking some shots as the Archons coming down here, blasting their way through the siege tanks, and that's going to be over for that attack. Meanwhile, down here, we did have some Stalker harassment coming over here, but the forces that were left down here, they were just like 6 little red dots, and I kind of knew that, there's really no way that that QXC is not going to be able to hold that off. We see he was that apparently... the Protoss player was able to hold off and attack one building here, knock that out, but he unfortunately did lose the majority of his forces. So we're seeing QXC having to play a little bit defensively once again. These rocks are getting in the way, so he does have this expansion down here. Building the Planetary Fortress, he's banking on the fact that he'll be able to get through those rocks in time without having additional reinforcements from WhiteRa, which we are seeing coming right here. Will he be able to get here in time? I think he will. Uh-oh, Psystorm landing right on top of the infantry. A lot of these are down very low. Nice split there by QXC, separating his forces, trying to minimize the amount of damage that Psystorm is going to do, and keeping his forces in the range of the siege tank. We see another storm taking out the remainder of the infantry. The expansion has gone down. Marauder down as well here. He is continuing to knock out these rocks, not looking too good. Will he be able to reach that siege tank? Yes, he is. And now this expansion is once again under fire from the base of the cliff. Finally, the rocks have been destroyed, so QXC looking to go on the offensive down here and try to take out... Oh, another Psystorm! Just missed it. Nice micro by QXC as he continues to push away the Stalkers. But there's that blink, rather, being used. And going to try to minimize the damage coming in to the Stalkers there. So QXC is still focusing on a very Marauder-heavy build with the siege tank reinforcements. That's a very good formula considering what he is up against right now. The thing is, though, WhiteRa does have that additional income, and QXC just cannot seem to hold on to it because of the nice harassment from WhiteRa. You see, it's almost 2,000 to 900, and really, over time, that's going to catch up here. The QXC might be able to hold on for a little bit. It's going to all depend on what he is actually able to do in terms of economy. If he's able to come up here and secure this expansion, drive away the Protoss, and maybe get in here, take out some of these probes, then he'll really have a nice shot at coming back. But right now, as the game progresses, minute by minute, it's looking to be more and more in, WhiteRa's favor. There's a nice defense here by QXC. Having these tanks right here will allow him full range of this ramp. Also, any sort of attacks that decide to run by here, he could position the tanks a little bit closer to the right and stop that. But right now we see WhiteRa actually moving out with the majority of his forces being Stalkers. Again, with the proper micro, that can work out very well. Just blinking back the low ones. And we see QXC looking to be a little bit aggressive here. This is exactly what he needs to be doing right now with the siege tanks, not being super aggressive, not being kind of ballsy, just sending them in here rather defensively, taking out these photon cannons. But here comes Duckload with his forces, full onslaught right here. Oh, but look at this QXC coming in from the rear with reinforcements. Nice amount of Stalkers, or Marauders rather, taking out the Stalkers here. Is it going to be enough, though? It's hard to say. I don't think it is, because of the Archons doing so much damage. I mean, you gotta remember, these are 3-1-3 Archons, 34, 47 against biological units. Tons of damage in those things. We see the QXC is in a bit of a bind here. This expansion is secure for the moment. Planetary Fortress backed up by the siege tanks. This one is just about gone, though. You look at the minerals, not much left. QXC spending all of his money here trying to repair this darn planetary fortress. He's giving it his all, man. I'll tell you what, QXC is doing a great job so far, but I'm not sure if this is going to work out for him. Although the Marines and Marauders are coming up here, took out the Immortal, and he was able to hold on to this for at least the gas and the few remaining minerals here. He is going to have to do something to secure some additional income, though. At this point, man, you know what? Now is as good a time as any to launch a nuke or two and see if you can catch WhiteRa off guard. I think an EMP plus a nuke, very sexy. Again, that's something that's going to be a little bit luck to get that successful, though. I think that's more my wishes coming out of my mouth than anything else. Simply, oh my god, look at those storms, taking out a ton of those SCVs. I cannot believe how many that just knocked out. You see that meanwhile up here, Terran was able to knock out the high yield expansion. Great move by QXC, bringing them back in here just a little bit. It's important that he holds on to this expansion, though. Moving into the 30-minute point here. It's going to be absolutely vital to secure this income, because right now WhiteRa is still sitting on this base right here, which does have a decent amount of minerals, and also this one, which is probably the next spot he's going to transfer his probes to. But look at this high yield. This is the big difference right here. His high yield is almost completely full, so if he's able to fully saturate that high yield, then WhiteRa is going to be in a strong position to make some really solid pushes with that additional income. Got a turret going down apparently here as the SCV runs face first into the Stalkers. Stalkers actually doing a good thing here, taking out the gas right off the bat. Going to try to limit the amount of tech that QXC can produce here. That's going to hurt his siege tank and ghost production really bad. Oh wow, free siege tank kill right there. More Psystorms landing on the Marauders, taking them down dangerously low. QXC in pursuit with a ghost. Will he be able to EMP this and deal with this army? I'm not too sure, folks. Let's see. EMP has gone down. Look at that EMP right there. Knocked out the shields on all of those Stalkers as more Marines and Marauders are giving pursuit. QXC securing this expansion. He may be looking to take this one as his forces are now moving up the northwestern portion of the map. Another Psystorm has gone down on the infantry. There's still one Ghost in there, two Ghosts able to do plenty of EMP, knocking out those Zealots. Snipe time! And they're dead. Uh-oh, Archon versus Marine Group. Round 1, fight. Yeah, okay, Archon loses. Good fight, though. So QXC, man, I'll tell you what, he's doing a great job knocking out the economy here, coming up here, trying to see if he can take out any of the probes. A lot of these probes were actually transferred over to this expansion with the high yield. And you look at that, 1,200, 1,300 compared to 80. WhiteRa doing a fantastic job just not completely knocking out the expansion. You know, with all the SCVs repairing the planetary fortress, it can be pretty difficult, but it's forcing QXC to spend a lot of money repairing and defending and not allowing these SCVs time to do their thing. And really, you see here, those Zealots coming over here, trying to do some damage, and the Stalkers on the high ground, absorbing a lot of that siege tank damage and knocking out tons of units here. Meanwhile, QXC up here in the north, looks like he's actually just doing a little bit of a patrol. Will this expansion go down? Oh, man, uh-oh. Medevac sacrificed to the Protoss gods. Meanwhile, Cannon is going down, and now Stimpack has been hit. Oh, man, Psystorm landing right there as QXC actually attacking that assimilator just a little bit, and now focusing on the Nexus. Will it go down? You see the little red dots coming towards it. Very close. Units are warping in. Will QXC nail this expansion? Yes, he nails it just before losing the Marauder. Oh, wow, one Marauder is still hanging out there. 9 hit points. I guess WhiteRa just kind of figured that was over, but he is looking to secure another expansion over here, as QXC has successfully defended this one throughout the game, but at this point, I'm not sure if it's going to work out. Again, you've just got WhiteRa with a superior economy coming through here, 1,500 to about 1,000 now. It helps to have those SCVs working, also some mules on the field, but look, 29 to 78, and looking at the units tab, 10 Marauders, 3 Marines, 3 tanks against the Protoss Onslaught, which we see more units are continuing to be warped in here, and nice blink micro by WhiteRa, trying to avoid that little firing range right there. Got to pull those units out as fast as possible. You know, he's done a great job playing defensively here today. Also, I gotta say, QXC, he has had a relentless onslaught from WhiteRa here. WhiteRa just not giving any leeway whatsoever, keeping the pressure on pretty much non-stop. So QXC has had a pretty darn big fight on his hands here, continuing to produce the siege tanks. Look at his upgrades. We see that, oh man, another engagement. Oh, look at those EMPs landing on all of those forces. High Templar were just trailing behind here. Didn't catch any of those EMPs. But anyways, yeah, like I said, man, this is what happens when you've just got the superior economy. You shut down QXCs like that, and you just eventually build up and overwhelm them, which I think is exactly what we're seeing here today as we get close to the 40-minute mark. WhiteRa, you look at the army comparison, 140 to 77, giant gap. Combine that with the 1,500 income compared to 640, 80 to 27 harvesters. QXC is just hunkered down right now, and you know, looking for any amount of minerals that he can get at this point. WhiteRa secures this expansion. Not going to see any more harassment over here. Maybe a dropship could come right around the backside and take it out from this point, but it would still be pretty darn hard to push through. WhiteRa still has a lot of the high yield of expansion minerals here. Looks like he's actually going out for what's probably going to be the final push, looking to directly engage the forces. Siege tanks are in front, so they may actually absorb a lot of the fire. Psystorm landing on top of the infantry, forcing retreat from QXC as he does look to establish the siege tanks up here, keeping a couple of them unsieged, and now sieging them up. But now Protoss is moving in plenty close to the infantry here. There's the blink! Going to negate a lot of those siege tanks right there. So just the Stalkers doing tons of damage to those forces. And looking at the army stats now, 125. Oh man, look at those units warping in. And there's the GG from QXC. I have to say that was a very entertaining game. Oh man, I definitely think these players are going to have a lot of fun should they decide to go to Korea here. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up. I want to say congratulations to WhiteRa for taking this game. And also QXC for doing a great job holding his own, man. I got to say. I'm looking forward to games from these guys in the future. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and see about casting some more games. And it's raining!